Hi everyone, I'm Jinx Monsoon, and this is the amount of coffee I've drank. I had a whole peanut butter jar's worth of coffee. This is a fully unscripted video. We are just going to answer fan questions for real. You know, I've done a fan question video before, but you might have guessed that that was all fake. So instead of faking it, today I am actually going to answer your actual fan questions. Actually. Oh, is it filthy?
No, I just want to get this one.
It's covered in makeup.
This is actually, that gives it personality.
This is what everything in my life looks like. Just grease paint thumbprints all over everything. This is Jinx Monsoon, for the first time ever, actually answering your fan questions. And here we go. Silhouette PDX asks, what's your next dream or next major goal you wish to accomplish? My next dream or goal. You know, my long-term goal is I really want to be on Broadway someday in a musical theater production. My dream role would be Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd. That's my favorite musical. But I think what I really am working hard at right now as my next big goal is to further legitimize myself as a voice actor in cartoons, because cartoons are basically the only thing I have capacity for these days. And voicing in cartoons, voiceover acting, is a special thrill. It's like I get to do drag with my voice. I get to do drag without 2 hours worth of makeup, and that's a dream come true. Asia asks, I know you're not a fashion... No, it's true. I'm not a fashion queen. I love bold honesty. Asia asks, I know you're not a fashion queen, but regardless, do you have any particular designer or icon you're inspired by when you choose your clothes in drag? I don't have one particular designer. I think most often Alexander McQueen's designs knock my socks off. And I also love Vivienne Westwood. But Vivienne was kind of ruined when, who was that prime minister? Oh my God, she was literally just the prime minister of the UK. I knew her name at one point. Anyway, she ruined Vivienne Westwood for me. But I'm not so much... I'm not actually inspired by one designer per se. I find my inspiration from eras. So I'm very heavily inspired by the 60s and the 70s eras of fashion. And then with some 90s grunge thrown in there from time to time. I hate fashion from the 80s, and that always pisses a lot of people off, but it's just my truth. I don't like it. Can you tell us what a typical day in your life is like? Well, it all depends on if I'm working that day or not. You know, quarantine life has been very different from what life has been like for the last 8 years, because normally I'd be on tour and every day basically looks the same when you're on tour. You get up, you do your show, you fly to the next city, you do it all over again. In quarantine, on work days, I get up pretty early, I make some coffee, I take a shower and shave from the waist up, get ready for my day. I do my makeup as quickly as possible so that I don't hold up the production crew that is Liam and Jensen, but I always hold us up. I haven't been on time once. I'm always like, you better get here right on time so that you can wait for me for an hour and a half. But that's just drag. That's drag. So on off days, I typically take a walk to the grocery store, buy ingredients for food that night. I like to cook big group meals. On days when I have absolutely nothing to do, I will typically go on a walk around Portland. Portland's a wonderful city because you can literally walk from one end of the city to the other end of the city in a couple of hours. So I like going on really, really long walks. I try to stay out for at least 4 hours if I go on a walk. What's up, Butler? Come here, little butts. You're fine. Oh, these cats. Asia, once again, asks, do you have any ritual you always do before a show? Well, luckily for me, I have a built-in ritual for every show. I don't go on stage without a full face of makeup, and that takes about 2 hours, typically, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that is when I get into character. I either put on a TV show or I put on music, and I have my step-by-step process for getting into drag, and by the time I'm done, I'm typically so sick of doing my makeup that I'm ready to hit the stage, because please end the monotony that is doing your makeup. It's my least favorite part of drag, is the getting into it. Once I'm in it, I'm good to go for hours. Inez says, sorry if you've already answered this, but do you plan on making music again in the future? If so, what type of genre are you leaning towards? I am working on my third feature album with Major Scales and our producer Yair Evnin. It is going to be a futuristic, satirical, allegorical opera set in space. We're still working on a title. Sarah Gila. I'm going to just start saying only the first names from now on. Sarah asks, will you be making new music anytime soon? And who are the singers, genres that inspire you most when making your original music? This is a very easy question to answer. I am constantly inspired by the artist Amanda Palmer, who was originally with the band The Dresden Dolls. She now works solo, and she just continues to be my rock goddess. She has a mission statement that I gel with, and her music is my favorite music of all. I have a very eclectic taste in music, but I pretty much like everything by Amanda Palmer. And then same goes for Regina Spektor. Regina Spektor was one of the first singer-songwriters I discovered as a young person, and I just think her ability to tell stories in her music, not necessarily autobiographical stories, but like just interesting stories in her music. It's what inspires me a lot in my own work. Angie asks, I read in an interview that Jinx as a character is a blonde and she wears wigs when she has hair in other color. Was that true, or did your idea for her change by the years? So that was true when I won Drag Race. The entire year after my season of Drag Race, I saw Jinx as a blonde. And then when I crowned Bianca, I decided then and there that Jinx was a redhead forever. And that's why I now only wear this color of red. And a lot of people want me to be a blonde again, and to them I say, I'm so sorry, but no. I always felt like Jinx was a redhead, and something changed in me. When they put the crown on my head, I said to myself, I'm a blonde. And then as soon as I crowned the next winner, I said, I was never a blonde, I was always a redhead. I don't know why that's so important to me, but it is. Luthany, I'm so sorry, Lulu. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Lulu asks, your quarantine playlist was just a myriad of good choices. Oh, you flatter me. Any new song artist recommendations? There is a song that I jam to almost daily. It's called I Hear a Symphony by Cody Fry. It's on Spotify. Go listen to it. It's, to me, masterful songwriting. The orchestration, the lyrics, everything about it is just, in my mind, a perfect song. I also really love the song What Would I Do Without You by Lena Lovitch. And I changed my alarm to be Agatha all along from WandaVision. That's what wakes me up every morning. I wake up every morning to bum 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 ba-dum bum. It's the only thing that gets me out of bed. And I throw the covers off and I go, it was Jinxie all along. Laura asks, do you have a home altar or maybe a few? I'd love to see it. Yes, I have a personal altar in my room that mostly is just my crystal collection.
You have a bunch from the collection?
I do have a bunch from the collection here for the video we were shooting earlier today. Basically, anytime I'm at a shop that sells rocks or crystals, I just, I pick ones that speak to me and I bring them home and then I learn what the meanings are. I normally shop with my heart and then I come home and find out what the rock actually represents. So, the altar in my room is like my personal energy radiation beacon. I also light incense daily, and I keep artifacts there, gifts from people, very significant gifts from people are all put on display on my altar. Then we have a couple altars throughout the house, but mostly me and my best friend Kenny, who lives with me, we build an altar for the celebration of each new season. Christina asks, are there any mobile games you play all the time? Regular video games you're currently playing is fine too. Okay, so there's a lot of questions here. Christina wasn't happy with just one question. She asked a bunch, so I'm gonna give you quick answers to all of them. My favorite mobile game is called Hearthstone. It's a World of Wonder. It's a World of Warcraft video game. No, keep it in. Keep that in. It's a strategy card game and is very nerdy. What's your go-to pizza order? Pepperoni and jalapenos. What do you think of the Steven Universe ending? If you saw it, love you. I think everything about Steven Universe is perfect. I honestly, that's probably one show I have zero critiques on. It is my religion. If I followed a religion, it would be the Church of Steven Universe, but I don't follow a religion because all religions are cults. Anyway, your fave would never. Dayanara asks, funniest/worst stage mishap. This is easy. You can actually look this up on YouTube. I think it's titled Jinx Monsoon Epic Costume Fail or Jinx Monsoon Epic Costume Disaster, something like that. I was in, where were we? I was doing a gig with Alyssa Edwards in, I think, Brownsville, Texas. And the club was just so warm, so warm. There's nothing but that drag queens love more than just condensed heat. And I was all snatched in my corset, and I did a striptease that night, and then went seamlessly into my retired rap number, Jinxalicious, which is a parody of the song Fergalicious. This is actually why I retired the number. I was in the middle of rapping on stage, and I was trying to take off the corset because the corset was tied so tight that I started to I was on the edge of hyperventilating because of how warm it was in the club and how out of breath I was in the middle of my rap number. And I could not get the corset off. And I had 3 different people from the audience get up and try to get me out of the corset. And no one could. And so I had to start screaming for Kenny to help me out of the corset. And Kenny literally, one arm reaches out from backstage and he goes like this. And the whole corset came off. But I was pretty certain I was going to pass out on stage. That's one of my worst mishaps. Second, this is actually my favorite stage mishap. But one time I rubbed my eye on stage and my contact fell out. And I am blind as a bat without my contacts. So I had to pick up the contact, ask the audience if anyone had contact solution. And on stage, in character, as Kitty Witless in the Vaudevillians, my 1920s vaudeville throwback, I not only had to find a justification for why I was wearing contacts as a person from the 1920s, But I also had to wash the contact and then put it back into my eye in front of everyone. It was disgusting. What does your vocal warm-up routine / practice and care look like? So when I was young, I felt like I was invincible vocally, and I didn't really do a warm-up process. There's this joke that Ethel Merman was late to stage once, and seconds before she had to hit the stage, a stagehand asked her, "Do you need to warm up?" And she said, "That's a good idea," and went, "Ha!" and then hit the stage and sang her song perfectly. And that's kind of how I used to warm up. I would cough and then I would just start screaming. Nowadays, I actually have to warm it up a bit. But what I do is I have a playlist of songs that range from less difficult to more difficult. And I sing along with those songs, and that's what warms me up. So I can hear a housemate, "Come on in." Oh no, we're still filming, but it's an improv video, so don't worry. Your voice might be in the video. What Broadway role would you most like to play? Here's my top 3 Broadway roles I want to play. I want to play Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd. I want to play the witch in Into the Woods, and I want to play either Little Edie in Grey Gardens or Mama Rose in Gypsy. You know, just Mama Rose, just the most coveted role of all time. Ginny asks, if you feel comfortable, could you talk a little bit more about learning what it means to be non-binary and how you knew this applied to you? I've been questioning my relationship with my gender a lot and felt something connect when I heard you mention it in an interview. I'd also love to hear a proposal story, as I'm proposing to my girlfriend soon. Love you so much. Well, first of all, Ginny, congratulations. I mean, I guess maybe it hasn't happened yet, but pre-congratulations to you. Marrying my partner was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I couldn't be happier with that decision. My relationship to my gender identity, I basically knew I was not a cis male, as I had been perceived to be at birth. I knew this since my teenage years, but we did not have the same terms back then that we are using now. Inky needs to be let out. It's interesting. It's funny to try to talk about it because it's just something I always knew about myself, but I didn't know how to describe it. And something kind of clicked in me when I heard the terms non-binary, non-conforming, because these terms inherently mean not within the gender binary that we have been conditioned to adhere to since birth. So when I heard that there was a gender identity that neither aligned itself with masculinity or femininity, I was like, that's me. That's who I've always been. It's always been true. I just never knew how to say it before. So it's kind of one of those things you just know about yourself. And when you hear the right way to explain it to other people, you'll know. And luckily, I think the biggest thing we're learning from the gender revolution that we are experiencing as a society is that really you get to decide for yourself how you identify. And I think we've been told our whole lives that that decision has already been made for us by our genitalia. But actually, the decision of how you wish to be referred to and how you wish to present yourself is entirely up to you. And anyone who tells you differently can fuck off. I'd love to know more about how you plan for a show, the writing, the choice of outfits, other preparations. What do you do yourself, and what do you like and dislike in the process? So when I'm writing a show, I basically am always collaborating with someone. If it's just me on stage, I'm typically working with my comedy partner, Nick Sahoya. In all of my shows with Major Scales, it is a full collaboration. It's a full collaboration between the two of us. Same goes for shows with me and Ben de la Creme. I just have a hard time self-motivating myself to write or do the work. So I typically need someone else to be holding me to deadlines. Liam's nodding because that's true for our relationship too. Liam is one of my newest collaborators, Liam and Jensen, and they're not on camera, but they're sitting right here staring at me. And it's been, when you find someone you gel with, it's just a no-brainer, you know, like we don't really have to work hard at our collaborations because they come naturally to us. But when I'm writing a full-length show, like for the stage, it typically, there is one message I want to convey in that show, and then everything else is just the way I do that. The costumes are typically inspired by a movie or a TV show that speaks to me, particularly in that moment. I'm getting a phone call. Oh, it's my optometrist. Hello? Perfect. Thank you so much. That's no problem. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye. Never a dull moment. Monsoon Manor. I love my new optometrist, though. The show that Ginger Snapped was entirely written from experiences from my own life. The costumes are based on the movie Shock Treatment by Richard O'Brien, the kind of lesser-known sequel to Rocky Horror, if you can call it that. It's not really a sequel, but it is an amazing movie that I suggest everyone watch because it actually predicted reality TV before reality TV really existed. So isn't that crazy? Carol asks for travel tips. Travel tips. Do everything at least a day early. Don't leave anything for the day of traveling because you'll have enough to worry about that day. And if you can, get to the airport early. Everything goes better if you're there early. I like to get there 2 hours early, but I'm a Virgo, so who knows. Asia, are you watching any TV series at the moment? And do you have a favorite one? Currently, I'm putting Frasier on in the background as my background noise. Like when I'm working, I need like constant noise around me or I start to go woo woo. So Frasier has been on in the background, but I'm really loving, I love animated shows. So I've been watching The Great North, Bob's Burgers, Bless the Hearts. It doesn't even have to be good. If it's an adult animation series, I'm probably watching it. Eric asks, have you seen the show Portlandia? If so, how well do you think they satirize the characters and life there? Listen, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Portlandia is eerily accurate. I was born and raised in Portland, and now I live here once more. I watched Portlandia thinking, there's no way they captured the true spirit of Portland in a TV show. And lo and behold, Portlandia is eerily accurate, and I think the most accurate characters are the feminist bookstore owners. I feel like I've known countless feminist bookstore owners in my life in Portland, so it's pretty damn accurate. If you were a cosplayer, what are the top 3 characters you'd cosplay? Mom from Futurama. Oh my God, Morgana, the duck in Darkwing Duck. I think she's not even a duck. I think she's a hen or a goose. Her name's Morgana, and she's based on Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I would cosplay as her, and I would want to get the full beak and feathers and everything. And then maybe I don't know. What's the third one? Mystique from X-Men. What's the most important things to consider when being a good cat owner? Oh, mine died at the age of 18 years and 1 month, so I think I must have fucked up somewhere. 18 years? No, that's a full life, Stacy. You did not fuck up. Your cat lived a full, and I'm guessing happy life. 18 years is a good span of life for a cat, so don't beat yourself up. Do you eat with them? Do they let you? How do they feel about being on camera? Did they share with you their showbiz aspirations. So my cats are weird. My cat Tildy is probably the most mean little cat I've ever owned. And I wouldn't even say I own my cats. I live with them. They're my housemates. Tildy is the most particular cat I've ever lived with. She just kind of hates everything, and that's why I love her. She makes me really work for her affection. She is also in 90% of the daily aspiration videos that we've been putting out. She has no problem being on camera. Inky is the other most camera ready cat in the house. Inky's made many appearances in my video work. Inky is a very silly cat. He just loves being scratched. I pet Inky like a dog. You know how you kind of pet dogs like, that's how Inky likes to be pet. And then our third cat, Little Butler. Littlest Butler, that's you. He was feral. And then Helena, my housemate, got Inky to help Little Butler adjust. And now he's just the sweetest little guy. I guess my suggestion for living with cats is let them tell you how to take care of them. Inky needs lots of attention. Tildy needs lots of privacy. And Lil Butts needs quiet. So Lil Butts hates me. Debbie asks, what are your go-to night in films, music, and snacks? Okay, so if I want to have a night in watching a movie, and if it's a movie I've already seen, I typically try to make the people in my life watch movies that I've already vetted for them and that I already know that they're going to love. So I made my friends, my housemates Gray and Kenny, watch the movie Dr. Sleep. Now, Gray and Kenny don't really like horror films, but I got them to watch Dr. Sleep, and they loved it. The Babadook is my favorite movie to put on with dates. Until I met my partner, The Babadook was my go-to date movie. I had already seen it like 20 times before I first showed it to a date. But I don't know why. I just think it's a perfect movie, so everyone should see it. And then Smiley Face is my go-to comedy starring Anna Faris. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. You don't have to be a stoner to appreciate it because it's just very good comedy. Molly asks, hi Molly. Molly asks, what's your favorite Bette Midler song, album, movie? My favorite Bette Midler song is Miss Otis Regrets, because this is a very weird song it's a very antiquated, weird song. I don't know who first sang it, but my favorite version besides Bette Midler is Marlene Dietrich, and she sings it like, Miss Otis regrets, she's unable to launch today. But in German. Bette Midler sings it, and I just love that she took this song, this really weird kind of morbid song, and turned it into a swing dance number. My favorite Bette Midler album is probably Experience the Divine. And my favorite Bette Midler movie is Hocus Pocus, with Beaches and First Wives Club both coming in at a close second, a shared close second. Sarah asks, since you and Dela have been doing holiday shows for years, was there any fear that it would not translate well to screen? Was shooting it as a movie very different than stage production? Yes. Basically, when you take something that you wrote for stage and you put it on film, to do it well, you have to rewrite the entire thing. This opened up a whole lot of opportunities for us that we don't have on stage, particularly when it comes to costume changes and special effects. But you do have to write the script knowing that everything needs to be as tight and concise as possible. On stage, I might draw out a moment because I have the audience laughing and I can kind of feel out the audience and kind of churn a moment. Andrea asks, how is your theremin practice coming along? Terribly. I have not worked on the theremin in a while. I've been putting all my focus into the ukulele. I got a theremin, a ukulele, and a concertina all at about the same time, thinking I was going to become my own little one-person band. And that's not the case. Ukulele won out hard, and the theremin is now just a fun thing to play with once in a blue moon. Maybe I'll get better at it someday. Aurelie asks, will you ever continue doing WQUR? We want to. We absolutely want to. But one thing we learned in quarantine is that you gotta hustle to stay busy and active and viable. We wanted to continue our radio show, but basically, with all four of us living in different cities, me, Major, Peaches, and Dela, we all live in different cities, and we all had to find our own hustles, our own weekly hustles, daily hustles. We're juggling a lot of side hustles to keep us working until we can hit the stage again. Is there a possibility you post some of your complete shows for us who don't live in the USA and couldn't go see them? I have been on this Patreon posting clips of past shows that I've done, but I really think it's important to see live theater live. So what I will be continuing to try to do is take my shows more places, but I don't want to post the entire show online because I think live shows need to be experienced live, and when you film them and put them out, a filmed version is just never going to capture the same magic. Like I said earlier in a different question, anything for film needs to be written for film. So until I write film versions of these shows, hopefully the clips will keep you satisfied until then. How do you connect to your witchcraft in your life? I think I connect to it by not overthinking it. I don't perform witchcraft. There was a time in my life where I was so excited to start dabbling with witchcraft that I think I was very performative about it. And that's not really what serves me most with my practice. The daily rituals that I perform are very personal, and I don't think about it too hard. I think cooking is a way I express my magic. I think performance and music is the biggest way I express my magic. And then, I do a lot of things here and there to improve my spirit and my mental state. Incense is a big daily ritual for me. And crystals, collecting crystals and letting them inspire me is another big way I practice. How do you fancy your chances against Dela in a hypothetical lip sync? I'll share this secret with you. I don't see myself surpassing Dela in anything. She has been my mentor for 10 years. And while we work really, really well together, I am so glad that I've never had to compete against her, because Dela intimidates the shit out of me when it comes to the aspect of the hypothetical thought of competing against her. I'd rather keep us colleagues and collaborators rather than frenemies. Were there any sports you enjoyed growing up? No. And the final question, Aaron asks, what's it like when you first realize you have talent? Speaking as someone who has none and is a little jealous, sad about it. I absolutely love you, by the way, and want you on Broadway. Well, thank you, Aaron. Here's the thing. You absolutely do have talent. Performing talent is not the end-all be-all. It might get the most attention, but everyone has talents. You have something that you're amazing at. So believe that you are talented, because I assure you that you are. As far as performing talent, I just always knew I wanted to be on stage. I think the luckiest thing I've had in my life is I have known what I wanted to do with my life basically my entire life. Some people have to do some soul searching. Some people don't realize what path they want to follow until late in life. I knew pretty much as soon as I have memory, like as far back as my memory spans, I knew I wanted to sing and act as everything. Those were your fan questions. It was a joy to answer them for you. If your question didn't get answered in this video, I'm so sorry, because I think we've been filming for like 45 minutes and there's no way to put that all into one video. So hopefully you heard your question answered, and if not, I hope you still enjoyed this video, and maybe we'll do this again sometime, because she does like to talk about herself. She really does. You don't get into the performing arts if you don't like talking about yourself. And let that be the message I depart with. Until I die on stage one day, I'm Jinx Monsoon. Thank you so much for your continued patronage. I love you, baby. I love you.